There we go. Bass Pro Shops Panfish Elite, man. Look at that flex. Gotta love it. Ultralight fishing is the best.
Today I'm going to be fishing with and sharing my first impressions on the Bass Pro Shops Panfish Elite Ultralight rod. My friends, it is raining outside. I'm gonna go get rained on in a minute, but I decided I was just gonna start inside and share with you the specs of this rod. But before I get into the specs, I did want to basically talk about why I do these ultralight rod videos in the first place. Many of you probably think it's because I'm addicted to fishing gear and that I like having a lot of fishing poles. Quite honestly, that's not true. I actually don't like having more fishing poles than I need. If it was up to me, I would only have a couple, but I like doing these rod reviews because I get a lot of questions on selecting ultralight rods. And the way I see it, if I test a lot of them, that actually helps me give you a better perspective to where you get the right rod from the start as compared to buying one you don't like or buying one that breaks, so on and so forth. So over the course of this next year, as I test rods, I don't personally need all of them. I'm gonna keep some, but I will be giving away a lot of them. So stay tuned to my Instagram page. That's probably where I'm gonna do the bulk of the giveaways. I will probably give this rod away very shortly, so make sure to stay tuned on Instagram. Anyways, before we go fishing, let's talk about the specs of this particular rod I picked up. Now, I'm pretty sure Bass Pro Shops offers this in numerous models, but I happen to pick up the 6-foot model. This rod is rated for 1/32 through 3/16 ounce lures and 2 to 8 pound test. Those are pretty typical ratings when it comes to ultralight rods. This is actually a fast action rod, which is obviously something that I like. I've talked about that a lot in the past, and it is, at first glance, it really feels like a pretty solid rod. I'm gonna talk about the aesthetics and I'm gonna talk about how it fishes once we actually get on the water. So why don't we hit the lake?
Take a look at this. They call this a fast action, and I totally agree. I don't know if you can see that, but that's a really nice bend to it. I really like the way that this rod blank bends. It's got a nice soft tip to where you can cast light stuff well with it, but it's still got enough backbone. Really big fan of that. That rain's really coming down. No idea how that's going to affect the fishing. I can't imagine it'll be a bad thing because it's actually pretty warm today. I've only fished this about a couple times, but it's been good to me. Never caught anything big out of it, but I've caught a lot of bass. There's a bite, literally first cast. Literally first cast. On the Donkey Tail Junior, 1/32 ounce mule jig. Decent little bass, actually. Always fun on an ultralight. And that rod, like I said, I really like the blank of this rod. It's got a nice flex to it. Real nice flex to it. Pretty good bass for ultralight. Perfect bass for ultralight, honestly. Well, love to see it, man. Love to see it. That's that Panfish Elite. Nice little, I don't know, 14-inch bass, 13-inch bass. Nice and chunky. Donkey tail in the mouth. All right, buddy, let's send him home. What are you doing? Go the other way. There you go. Well, one cast and we've already caught a fish, so that's pretty promising. It's actually a nice warm rain. It's close to 50 degrees right now, and this has got to be a warming trend. I have a feeling the bass are actually going to be pretty active right now. As far as the balance of this rod goes, it's definitely a little bit on the tip heavy side. When I just hold it, you know, like this, it wants to sink low a little bit. And you guys know that I prefer a rod that's got a little bit more weight in the butt. So that's kind of one of the things that I don't particularly love about this rod, but all in all, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's relatively neutrally balanced, so it's pretty solid. I've got it paired up with a Daiwa Legalis LT2000. So this is a pretty light reel, but they certainly make them lighter. So I would say if you were to upsize the reel, that would allow you to kind of put a little bit more weight in the butt portion of the rod. If you use a lighter reel, you're probably gonna have a pretty tip heavy rod. It's not bad though. I've certainly used worse. So again, it's not like a huge deal. It's more of a personal preference thing. I've got 6-pound braid on here with a 4-pound monofilament leader. There's another one. It's gotta be another bass. Little chunker. Not as big as the first one. Nice little chunker. All right. They're looking healthy. Nice and thick. All right, little guy. I'll take him. Put up a nice little fight there. And there we have it again, my friends. I'm hooked up again. Turned off the camera for a second and got another bite. It's another decent one. About like the first one, I think. I think there's a lot of bass just like this in here. I don't even know if there's panfish. I've actually never caught a sunfish out here. You know, if there are sunfish, I feel like I'll catch one today. We'll see. I feel like it's just a bunch of juvenile bass in here. I'm never going to complain about that, but that's kind of what I'm thinking this is. I actually caught some perch on this rod the other day as well. It handled those extremely well. I would say the impression of this Panfish Elite is the fact that it's really a nice, versatile ultralight. I feel like this would cover down on so many different types of fishing. Different species, different lure types, so on and so forth. You know, it's a fast tip, but it's not so dang fast to where you can't throw a treble hooked bait on this. I really think you can get away with a lot of techniques with this rod right here. As far as aesthetics go, you know, it's really kind of a cool looking rod, and it really pairs up well with that Legalis. It looks really nice. Almost looks like they're meant to pair together. The rod butt, I'm not huge on the foam. It feels a little cheap. And then the reel seat itself, it feels a little loose, a little wobbly. So I'm not super big on this portion of the rod, but like I said, the blank makes up for it. And for $80, I'm really getting the impression that this is a solid rod. Now this spring has been relatively slow for me, and I really haven't had a ton of chances to fish. And this is gonna be a short trip, but man, it feels good to just get out here and immediately catch. Speaking of, there's another one. Another similar sized bass. I honestly think a lot of these fish in here are young. I don't think this pond has been stocked for a long period of time, so I don't think there's gonna be any lunkers in here. But these are just literally perfect bass for ultralight. And you can really see that rod is just, it's working right now, and it's handling it so well. He ate that good. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. All right, little hombre. See you later, buddy. You know, one thing I gotta say is I'm really liking the way this rod performs with braid. This braid is obviously extremely low stretch, and this rod has enough flex to it to where it kind of compensates for that low stretch line. I really think this is a match made in heaven. The one thing about using braid with ultralights is some of the ultralights have such small guides that a lot of times it causes issues, and sometimes it ends up breaking a rod. You've obviously seen me do that with my Dobbins in the past. But with this rod, you know, the guides are pretty normal size. They're certainly not undersized, so it actually works pretty well with that braid. So I definitely think that pairing this with braid is pretty solid. Oh, I definitely had a short strike. I wonder if that was a bluegill. I've had a couple short strikes. I really want to catch a bluegill today just to prove that there's some in here. You know, the ratings on this rod are obviously extremely typical for ultralight, but I gotta say it's handling this jig quite well, and I think that this would work quite well with a lot of the smaller stuff. So if you like fishing with like the really light weights, I think this rod would handle it. Another little largemouth. Pretty dinky, I'm not gonna lie. But they're all kind of dinky, so that's okay. Is it bad that I'm testing the Panfish Elite on a bunch of bass? Is that okay? Is that against the rules? There we go. Bass Pro Shops Panfish Elite, man. Look at that flex. Gotta love it. Ultralight fishing is the best. Got to love it. I swear, this place is only small bass. I figure I would have caught a bluegill by now if there's any in here. She's working well, man. She's working well. Not gonna complain about it. Hasn't broken yet, so that's good. I will say, on that note, you know, I actually ordered this online, and at Bass Pro Shops, like, I would have thought that they'd be excellent at shipping rods. They shipped this thing so pathetically. It was snapped in two. It was so ridiculous. So I just went to Bass Pro, and they got me a replacement, but it was so pathetic. They sent me a box, and it like didn't even have a cover on the other side. And it was just smashed. The rod tip was just shattered. Fortunately, you know, Bass Pro is obviously pretty good about replacements, but it was pretty alarming to see the fact that Bass Pro can't ship a rod worth a hoot. Either way, they got it replaced, so I'm not gonna complain too much. I got another fish? Son of a gun, I do. This guy was up shallow. This guy feels a little bigger though. Yeah. This one's dogging me a little bit. I don't think it's a giant, but it's good one. He wants to be big. He's sure pulling like he's big. All right, okay. I'm liking what I'm seeing right now. I'm liking that little belly I'm seeing down there. That's a little more like it, my friends. Yeah, that's my best one for sure. Not even close. Not even close. Look at him go. Yeah, give him the drag, give him the drag. Go ahead, have some fun there, buddy. Looky there. All right, well, it's not all juvenile bass. That's a good one. It's a good ultralight fish all day. God, that fish is healthy. Holy smokes. What are you doing, man? Okay. Oh my gosh, look in his throat. You see that fin? Okay. Holy smokes. There is a fin of something in there. I would love to see what that is. It appears that it could be a bluegill. He's like literally swallowing it right now. That is amazing. This guy's on the feed right now. No joke, like I can't even hardly see that tail. He's like swallowing it as we speak. You like a fish like that on ultralight? Look how fat that fish is, man. He's a freaking meatloaf. Daggum, dude. Old Chungus, man. Old Chungus. There we go. That's probably a gill. Yes, I got a gill. Yeah, there we go. Okay, they do in fact exist. Good to know. Not exactly a big fish, but at least it's something other than bass. We have proven that bluegill live here. That's what I like to see. Oh my gosh, dude. Holy smokes. That bass freaking tried to crush it. I literally was reeling it in and a bass came up and flared his freaking gills at it. And that was wild. That was so cool to see. I've never seen a bass chase like that and then just try to suck it in. And he didn't get it, but he did that time. I knew he'd come back. Oh my gosh. That was so cool. Like he literally like chased it. I saw him come out of the shadows and then I just saw him like open his mouth. Yeah, he's actually a pretty big one. He's not as big as that one, but solid fish. Oh my gosh. This guy's dogging me, man. He's dogging me. It's a beauty on ultralight. It's just a beauty. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. He's not quite as thick as old Thicky that we just caught, but a little bit smaller. He doesn't have anything down his throat besides the donkey tail. All right. Yeah, so he like emerged from the shadows and he just opened his mouth. He's like, rah! It was pretty scary, but it was pretty awesome. All right, another one bites the dust, man. I killed it right there. I watched my line and my line just ticked. It was just like doink. Oh, I loved that, man. I freaking loved that. I just reeled the donkey tail in pretty hard and kept it towards the surface and then I just killed it. Sat it there for like 4 seconds. This guy just hammered it. Golly. Look at that. You like it when they eat it like that? Because I do. I certainly do. All healthy fish. No jumbo jumbos, but all healthy fish. Hey, look at that gill. It's a little bit better gill. There we go. How about that? Another decent little bass right there. Love to see it. Love to see it. Love to see it. That's a chunk, man. Golly. That one's pretty. Really like that colors on that guy right there. They are eating this thing so good. All right, buddy. We'll see you later. Down by the Green River where paradise lay. I know what you're probably thinking right now. Ethan, why did you leave that pond? You were absolutely crushing them. Well, if I'm being honest with you, I didn't have a lot more time and I was in the area of this pond right here and I've been meaning to scout this place out, so I wanted to come here real quick and just try a couple casts just to see if I can catch anything. I have no idea what to expect, so if I don't catch any fish, that's okay. I just mostly wanted to scout it out a little bit. You know, part of the process in finding bodies of water that I like is scouting them out, and you have to get out there and explore a little bit if you want to catch fish. Oh, I just had a short strike. I have a feeling it was a dinky gill. Yeah, I'm getting pulverized. Yeah, those are dinky gills. I think I'm gonna make a quick change. All right, pinch and pull it over the keeper, snap it into place, kind of push it up there. Look at that. Rigged and ready. Honestly, this just casted that 1/64 ounce mule jig just fine. So this has the ability to cast lightweight, so that's good. Oh my gosh, something pulverized it. Short striking even the 1/64 and the 1.2 inch minnow. I have a feeling these are really, really small fish. There he is, yes sir. I knew it was short striking gills. All right, well, this place has small bluegill. That's what we like to see. On the cowpoke 1.2 inch mule minnow. That old cowpoke color, baby. You know, one thing I just realized I haven't commented on at all is the sensitivity. And I gotta be honest with you, I didn't think of it because I haven't really detected any bites in the physical rod. They've all been in the line. And I'm gonna be honest though, you know, I don't think that's uncommon. I think most ultralights, most of the bites that I detect are in the line, even on my more sensitive rods. So yes, It's probably not as sensitive as some rods, but I don't think it's a problem. I think it's sensitive enough. There we go. Another dink. I've had all sorts of short strikes, and it's obviously because these fish are really small, but that one totally choked it. I don't know how I hooked him so good. Golly, buddy. Somebody was hungry. There you go. Yeah, all right. That one felt a little bit bigger, but I don't think it is. Maybe slightly. Still a total dinkage. You know, I'm just glad that I'm catching some gills, you know? This is called the Panfish Elite. I can't go catching bass on it all day. Oh man, that one throttled it. It's a little chunkier. All right, cool. Cowpoke, getting her done. There's one. God bless, they're all identical. They are all identical. You're never gonna hear me complain about little bluegill, but it would be nice to hook a big one. Ah, I got him. I think I'm going to end on this fish, but I am going to go in my car and talk about this rod, what I like, don't like, so on and so forth, and definitely some recommendations on whether or not you should get it. Okay.
Well, I guess if you're going to learn anything from today's video, it's that you should not be afraid to fish in the rain, because I fished in the rain and yeah, I got wet, but you know what? It was worth it. I caught a pile of fish, so that was an absolute blast. As far as the rod goes, obviously I liked it. It's a really nice rod. It's got a great blank to it. And I think the one thing that I would say about it is that I think it's really a good rod for someone that's just looking for a multi-purpose ultralight. You know, I really think that this rod would be good for numerous species and numerous applications. Whether you're fishing with a bobber and live bait, or a jig, or a spinner, the list goes on. I actually think that this rod would handle them all quite well. For that reason, I would actually say it's very similar to the Temple Fork trout and panfish. I would say this, the Temple Fork goes for about $100 and this rod as of today goes for about $80. I think for $20 more, you're probably better off with the Temple Fork because I do think it's a little bit higher quality rod and I definitely like the reel seat on it better. I think it has a little bit better balance, so on and so forth. But the Bass Pro Shops, I mean, if you live near one and you want to be able to return a rod easily if for some reason it breaks, you know, there's no question that Bass Pro has a really good return policy. Anyways, all in all, I'd say for $80, it's a really good option, and I'll probably give it away on my Instagram solely because I don't need it. If I would have got this rod earlier on, I don't know, I probably would have kept it. It's a really solid option, and I think, you know, for the price, it's pretty hard to beat. So with that all being said, make sure to stay tuned because I'm going to be doing a lot more ultralight rod videos in the future because I've got a bunch in my house that I need to fish with. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I hope you have a great rest of your day and we'll catch you next time.